We start by importing TensorFlow as TF, and then we print out the TensorFlow version that we are using. We are using TensorFlow 1.0.1. In this video, we're going to calculate the element-wise Hadamard multiplication of two TensorFlow tensors by using tf.multiply. First, let's create two tensors we can use to calculate an element-wise multiplication. The first tensor we create will be a tensor shaped 2 by 3 by 4 with minimum values of 0, max values of 20. The data type is going to be int32, and we give it the name random int var 0 to 20. And we use TensorFlow's get underscore variable operation, and we assign it to the Python variable random int var 1. Next, let's print out what this random int var 1 Python variable has. We see that it is a TensorFlow tensor. It has the name that we gave it. The shape is 2 by 3 by 4, and the data type is int32. Because we haven't run it in a TensorFlow session, right now it doesn't have any values. The same will apply to the other tensor we're about to create. This tensor will also be a TensorFlow tensor shaped 2 by 3 by 4. However, it will have minimum values of 0 and max values of 2. The data type will be int32, and we give it the name random int var 0 to 2. We assign it to the Python variable random int var 2. Let's print out the random int var2 Python variable to see what we have. We see again that it's a TensorFlow tensor. We have the name that we gave it. The shape is 2 by 3 by 4, and the data type is int32. Now that we have created our TensorFlow tensors, it's time to run the computational graph. We launch the graph in a TensorFlow session. Then we initialize all the global variables in the graph. In this case, we have two variables to initialize. Let's now print our two tensors to see what we have before we do the element-wise multiplication to get the Hadamard product. First, we print our random int var 1 Python variable in a TensorFlow session, and we see that we have a tensor that is 2 by 3 by 4, and all the numbers are between 0 and 20. They are also all integers, which you can visually check by seeing that none of the numbers have decimal points. Next, we print our other Python variable that we're using in this example. So we do a print session run random int var2, and we see that we have a 2 by 3 by 4 tensor. All the numbers are either 0 or 1. The reason that we did a min of 0 and a max of 2 is so that this tensor would be full of 1s and 0s. This makes it very easy to check element-wise multiplication. Alright, let's now do the element-wise multiplication using the TensorFlow.multiply operation. So we use TensorFlow.multiply, we pass in our first tensor random int var1, then we pass in our second tensor random int var2, and we're using TensorFlow.multiply, and we're going to assign it to the Python variable tf underscore Hadamard underscore prod. Let's now check our result. So we do a print session run and the Python variable we just created. So the first thing we check is that we have a 2 by 3 by 4 tensor to make sure the shape remained the same. It is 2 by 3 by 4. The second thing we do is we can do a visual inspection of the results to make sure it was an element-wise multiplication. So we're going to start with our tensor full of zeros and ones because it's easier that way. 0 times 2, 0. 0 times 19, 0. 1 times 18, 18. 0 times 9, 0. Rather than check all the rows, we'll check this final row of the second matrix. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 5 is 5. 0 times 12 is 0. 0 times 17 is 0. Perfect. We were able to do an element-wise multiplication of our two tensors. And that is how you calculate the element-wise Hadamard multiplication of two TensorFlow tensors by using tf.multiply.